Hello, good evening. This is Brother Benson Media, and we're also live on our sister channel, Kikao na Sauti. Normally, over here, we do say that your opinion counts, and if you will be watching or you are watching, we request, as usual, that you kindly like and subscribe because if you do so, it is a way of supporting us, and as usual, tutasema ni asante. Before we start, allow me to just take this opportunity to welcome Brother Benson. I'll give him a chance to say hi na tuambie siku yake imekuwa vipi. Tuambie kama yeye mwenyewe alienda maandamano or not. Karibu.
Makobura, asante sana kakangu. Kwa kweli siku yangu ijakuwa vibaya vile, na mimi sikupata nafasi kuungana na Wakenya kuenda kuadhimisha siku ya majenzi, lakini nilikuwa na bahati nikaona jinsi mambo yalikuwa. Kwa hivyo najua kadri muda itazidi kuenda, basi tutakuwa na mazungumzo mazuri, tuzungumzie yaliyotokea na labda ni kitu gani ambacho labda tunaweza sema kwamba tunajifunza kutokana na mambo ambayo yalikuwa yametokea leo.
Okay, thank you so much. And just as a reminder, today was a special, and it was special in this manner. It is a day that quite a number of youths in Kenya, that is during the 2024 finance bill, quite a number of youths died during that particular period. And last year in June 25th, there was a memorial of the same. But again, on the same, we saw quite a number of people also died. So it's been a year and a month and a date that majority of Kenyans are so many attached to it, and it reminds them of the struggles. Personally, I remember I was on the streets in 2024 June.
Yeah.
And part of what I was doing there was simply trying to get the information that would give to the people that always follows us via the media. And what I witnessed was not, of course, a good thing. What we saw was a serious breach of the law. What we saw was a serious mishandling of human beings.
Yeah.
Something that to me was very unfortunate, because life, as I've always said, is a special thing that is given just by God.
Yes.
And whenever it is given to anybody, every human being has the prerogative of ensuring that their fellow human being is protected and that their lives are really protected as well. But what we witnessed was something that is tough to describe. And if you try look into the bigger details of what really happened, majority of Kenyans were speaking against the finance bill that had been brought by the parliament then. And it is something that, according to me, would have been avoided by the government, because they brought this finance bill. The people of Kenya dissected it, and they felt that it was not good for them.
Yeah.
They shared the message to the representatives, that is the members of parliament. Unfortunately, the message from the people never got to the parliament, and the members then decided to make their own decisions, not adhering to the wishes of the people. That then brought a lot of anger amongst the people, and they said that, as the constitution clarifies very well, that when you feel you're not satisfied by your leaders, you have options of giving them the information, which they did.
Yeah.
But the members of parliament or the leaders never listened. So what they decided, as per the constitution, is they went on the street as a way of communicating, as a way of spreading the message. But that again led to serious loss of life. So June 24th, 25th is a very remarkable day.
Yeah.
And it is a day that personally I celebrate the people who died on that particular day, because to me they are heroes. They are heroes because they followed the constitution. The constitution says that you get to the street, you picket.
Mhm.
While they were picketing,
Mhm.
while they were spreading or taking the information to the
Yeah.
right people, they were killed. It is so unfortunate. And I'll just give you a chance to also just give a view of what you remember or what comes to your mind whenever you hear of this June 25th, something that the people of Kenya have always held dearly in their hearts.
Okay, thank you so much, Makobura. As you said earlier, that today was a special day, not to everyone. There are those who it was not a special for them, but it was a special day, especially for those parents who lost their children. It was a special day for parents or even the brothers and sisters who their loved ones are missing until today, because there are people who are still missing until today, where their whereabouts are not known. As I said, the finance bill protest of Gen Z of 2024 will be history, or is a history in our Kenyan. And each and every administration that will come to rule, this day will always be celebrated, because when you go back and ask yourself the reason where we are and why are we here, especially like talking about the June 25th. This comes as a result of a finance bill that the president actually, with his administration, were proposing. As you know, the finance bill usually give a roadmap, especially to how the government is going to spend its money, the budget, the expenditure, the budget, and that's the path that the government will know that we are going to collect this. But this is usually done. The president and his team can bring those proposals, then it will be taken to parliament, and the parliament would amend by adding or deleting or subtracting some of the concerns that has been shared by Kenyans. But remember, the Kenyans really shared with this the leadership that were there, and the members of parliament did not listen. They talked with finality. It ended up that people went on the street. So the issue of this celebration will always be, and it is going to be a thorny issue, especially in administration and even the President William Ruto. Even if you say that we are compensating, yeah, it is something that will always be recurring, and whether you like it or not, it will be recurring and recurring until that time that President William Ruto and his administration will leave office, whether they will get the second term or not. But even in the life of President William Ruto, the history will say that during your presidency or during your time as a president, this is what happened. It is engraved, especially in the hearts of Kenya as a nation. Kenyans has written it, despite the fact that the politics that we are doing around it. But when everything settled down, it is not something that you can just come and wipe it a day. You cannot do that. And it's something that you cannot hide. It will always be here with us. Generation that is coming will be told of what happened to the young Kenyans who stood and say that we do not want this finance bill. It will also go in the books of history that this was the only protest that the parliament was breached. Those are history of this nation. It will also go in the history of Kenya that the young people who died, they were not, they were buried with the Kenyan flag. I don't know whether you remember those. Majority of them were buried, their coffins were covered by the Kenyan flags. You know, so today people are celebrating the life of people who really played a remarkable um, history in this country. Remember, due to the June protest, remember President William Ruto had to uh, withdraw his finance bill. That is a history. President William Ruto had to dissolve his cabinet. That is a history. So today also they were making history by protesting, even though the number of people who turned out to protest were not as many as people would think, but it is a history. There's a message that has been sent. So that is something that also I would say, Mr. Makobura.
Okay, thank you so much for your views, and I'll just start it this way: a day that the government promised would be normal,
Mm.
but wasn't. That is the truth of the matter.
Yes.
And for weeks, for weeks leading to the June 25th, government officials repeatedly insisted that there will be no holiday, there will be no protest. Kenya would operate as normal, according to the statements that we heard from the government officials.
Mm-hmm.
This was meant to counter the Gen Z's activists, and of course anybody who was trying or planning to get to the street, who declared June 25th a national day of remembrance for those killed during the June 2024 finance bill protest.
Mm.
But today, by around 10 a.m., Nairobi CBD was partially shut down.
Yeah.
Tear gas was already in the air.
Mm-hmm.
The police outnumbered civilians in some streets.
Mm.
We saw quite a number of arrests within Nairobi. We saw them in Eldoret. We saw them in Kajiado.
Yeah.
The contrast between government messaging and the street reality became the story of the day, and
Yeah.
people were giving their views. So, Brother, when I'm quite sure that you've been following,
Yes.
what this tells you, because did today's feel like a normal day? It wasn't to me. Just
No,
in your own
no,
version of what you
it,
saw.
it was not a normal day because remember, the government gave the surety that the Thursday will be normal operating day or as any other day that people will go to school. The matatu operators and everything will be operating as normal, but that was not the case, especially as you said that in the morning all the roads were barricaded. There was a heavy presence of the police. The security agents were, were in the major roads that were leading to CBD. Especially, we are talking about Nairobi. And by that one happening, it has communicated something. Though you can look at it in terms of revenue collection of today. I don't think that even the county government of Nairobi collected a good revenue. And despite the fact that there's so many people did not turn out, but the how the town was kind of like deserted because like nobody was accessing apart from few. It tells you that even the security apparatus were would I say that they were very scared of maybe what can happen, but at the end of the day, it happened. Apart from Makobura street being deserted or the street are free, what also I witnessed was about there are quite a number of people who tried to gain access to the CBD, but they were denied. Not only in Nairobi, there was also protest in Mombasa, which was quite much peaceful. Part of them, there was also very, very scanty in Meru. But what saw the contrast was in Kisumu. If you are very keen enough as you were following the protest of today, while people there were protests in some parts of the country, when you go to Kisumu Kondele, people were registering and also were registering as voters and also were registering to get ID. And this shows contrast because like that Kisumu has always been known as a place that protests, like when they come out to protest, they do protest, but today people were registering. And this is informed by, or this is seen because, like, right now, the Orange Democratic Movement is working with government, or are in government, not even working, they're in government. And now the people from the lake are saying that we are in government. What we want roads, we want development to come to the area, you know. But when you look at it, you see politics in it, and we should be very good students of history. Makobura, if history will serve me right, we will come here and review this. Things to do with the procession. This is something that is anchored in law, and the Constitution has given the people of Kenya that privilege. And though going to the street, you're not going to the street to create chaos, but you're going to the street as an alternative to communicate and say that, hey, you know what? I've not gotten my justice, or I've gotten my justice, you know. But you find that the way we look at going to the street, I was looking at some comments, and people say that Orengo cannot copy paste Baba. I think of everything that has happened to me, I think Orengo has won. Yeah, and there is a reason why Orengo has won. If you look at the majority of people who are tweeting some of this, some of them were victim of police brutality. In so many times they've become victims of police brutality, and it tells you that how we are Makobura. You know, kwa Kiswahili tunasema kwamba, nilikuwa nasema hivi kwa Kiswahili, ukipata nafasi kukula na malkia, ama ukipata nafasi kukula katika uh, ikulu ya Nairobi kwa mfano, ukule na heshima. Uangalie watu wanakula vipi, kwa sababu utapata ukikula, kama unajua leo hii ndio chakula chako, baadaye siku moja kitakuramba, kwa lugha ya mtaa wanasema hivyo. When things to do with the protest, we politicize it. We do politicize it. But today, if you look at today, those who are saying that protest is not good, tomorrow there will be the people who will be complaining, because it's usually vice versa. I can remember when President William Ruto and President Uhuru Kenyatta were in power, what the politicians said about and protesting was one of those things that they were doing, especially to push the government, to make sure that the government should be put on toes. One of them is that. But today, things are quite much different. The people who are not protesting before are now the people who are protesting. But it's something that has to change. But that is something that I witnessed, Makobura.
Okay, thank you so much. And do you think the government underestimated the emotional weight of June 2020? I mean 25th.
Mm-hmm.
And again, according to maybe your view, should June 25th officially become a remembrance day, as some people are proposing that it should be, made a holiday?
No, I do not think so that it should be a holiday, but it is a significant day in the history of this country. The reason why that I'm saying that a significant day, people will always remember, because the history will be written. This history will not run away from us. I tell you, with all the theatrics and all, be it politics from opposition, or be it the politics from the government, and even the people who are playing it, what happened in June 2024, it is something that is going to stay with us here for the rest of Kenyan history. It has built, or it has just added another chapter in the history of Kenyan history of Kenya, especially when we're talking about democracy, on how we say that we want to grow our democracy, how our democracy works. And June also has really exposed us to the kind of leadership, especially that we have, both in the opposition, both in the government, both in the, and even the citizen of Kenya, how they view issues, and it is continue to expose us. Sometimes I find it very sad, especially if young people are invited in major TV stations, and or major platforms, especially to discuss the issue that is affecting our country. And their discussion generates to personality and insult, you know, that because you are in another political affiliation or uh, other, you tend to ignore things that matters most. You tend to ignore things that matters most. That is when you find that when we're talking about what justice, if somebody wants justice, how are you going to make sure that is just? But one thing that Makobura, justice is not about getting compensation. That is not a justice. You know, I remember, I don't know whether you remember when the US government, especially during the time of Barack Obama, when they managed to eliminate Osama. What happened? People celebrated. And if you go back to those videos, what people were celebrating, they felt like justice has been done. And how justice has been done is because that guy has been eliminated based on the fact that they feel that there's some pain that he caused some of the families. I remember what happened in September 9/11. It went with so many families. The family who lost their life. There are those who got cancer, especially due to uh, the gas explosion that went on the air. The first responders, like firefighters, some of them, you know, um, really contracted some diseases, like chronic diseases, just due to the fact that the flame that was coming out of that place, and they were fighting to make sure that they make sure that the fire does not continue. They ended up having problems with some of them with their heart. But that justice, you know. And if you're very keen enough, you saw the mother of Kennedy Onyango. I hope you know Kennedy Onyango. Kennedy Onyango was this young boy who was shot around 8 bullets. You remember the interview that the president had with the journalist, that is Linus Kaikai and I think Joya Gale, when uh, I think it was Linus who asked the president uh, about the boy who was shot 8 bullets, and then president said that that boy is alive. I quote him. Then Joya Gay, I think, or if not, Kaikai said that no, he's dead. So those are history. These are some of the things that you cannot wipe away. We can do politics about them, we can do everything about them, and we can do it. But these are history. Those chapters are written, especially in the history of this country. You will not take them away. You will not take them away.
Okay, thank you, thank you so much again for your take. Allow me to just acknowledge the presence of Judith at the comment section. Thank you so much, Judith, for finding time to join us. Allow me to acknowledge Eric Osewe, Kennedy Mkari, and everyone else who is watching. Thank you so much for joining us. We request that if you are watching for the first time, kindly like and subscribe, because if you do so, it is a way of supporting us. Brother Ben, something else that I just wanted to hear your view on is, what was happening on the ground vis-a-vis, what was then believed, by the people in government. June 25th, just like I'd said, it's symbolic because it marks the anniversary of the 2024 Gen Z protest. Demonstration that, of course, almost made it tough for the government to, to operate.
Yeah.
Over 127 people were killed that year,
Mm.
according to the watchdogs
Mhm.
information.
Mhm.
Many families never received justice. Many families never received their kins or their relatives. Quite a number of people were abducted and their bodies, they've never been seen.
Mhm.
And so the Gen Zs declared they would never forget this particular day. And that is why today's protest were not about the bill, the finance bill.
Yeah.
They were all about the memories of what had happened in 2025. The memories of the loved ones that were killed, that were
Mm.
shot, the
Mhm.
memories of the people who were abducted and they've never been seen, the memories of the family members or family close allies who disappeared and they've never been seen.
Yes.
Or it is also a memory of those people who were tortured. They went through all difficult things, but probably they are today with their families, still nursing the injuries, still nursing the scars.
Mhm.
Some of them, it was a reminder of the injustice that they've never received. Some,
Mm.
like the families that were also on the street, they were out here, it was all about looking for justice, reminding them of the need of their justice.
Mhm.
And again, to some, it was a sign of defiance. Defiance to a government that, according to them, is not following the law. And so they were just on the street as a way of showing defiance. So, this particular day or demonstration was one that reminded people. People came, majority came out of the memory, majority came out of the justice,
Mhm.
some out of defiance.
Yeah.
But what happened today? The major protest hotspots that we saw today were Nairobi. Most of the CBD, there were tear gas, there were arrests, there were roadblocks within the CBD, and quite a number of people who were trying to access CBD,
Yes.
including the vehicles that were coming from Mombasa and the upcountry, they were blocked from getting to the CBD.
Yes.
Githurai 45, running battles, police phone fiscations,
Mm.
some people being taken, and put in Subaru, and then the vehicles, I could see the vehicles leaving.
Yeah.
Kajiado, we saw quite a number of youths also on the street, and it has been reported that around 123 youths were arrested in Kajiado.
Mm.
You know, Mombasa there were peaceful marches. Of course, some of them were disrupted.
Yeah.
Kisumu, we saw police dispersing some gatherings that were, starting to come up.
Mhm.
Kakamega, Bungoma, we saw some scattered youths grouping, chanting anti-government slogans. And the police were using tear gas, water cannons, undercover officers who majority were not even in police uniform, something that is contrary to the laws. And of course, remember the other day, the court was very clear. The matter was taken to court, and they were actually they were advised that in any operation they have
Mm.
to be in uniform. We didn't see that. The ones who were arresting people were not actually they were not in the uniforms.
Mm.
We saw quite a lot in the roadblocks around Parliament and the CBD.
Mm.
So, if what did you witness on your side based on what you are seeing, and do you think the police response was justified or excessive? Should peaceful memorials protest be allowed without police interference? Why must they stop people, even the grieving, from doing a memorial, something that is anchored and it is there even in the culture of Africans?
Makobura, something that you have to understand that we are dealing here with a political matter here. I told you as I started to have a conversation with you that this is something that is very historical, whether you celebrate it or you don't celebrate it. And this one brings me to this: is that like in our country, Kenya, there's something that we need to go to class, or something that we need to start, especially um, talking about, especially when it comes to protest. How do we protest? What 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 are the procedures, or what is the requirement of protesting? You know, one of the things that we've always, as a country, we've always lost it at all, and I don't know whether at I don't know when we shall learn as a country, especially when there's issue to do with the protest. Because what you see, especially during the protest, is that uh, the law enforcement officer will just jump onto you and just bring you in, and use tear gas. And at what point, especially, should the law enforcement use the tear gas, or when should the law enforcement, especially, use force? You know, and at what point will a protester, especially when you are protesting, knowing very well that I'm going to protest, and the police, when I'm protesting, the police are not my enemy. The police are there to provide us with the security. But that is not what we are seeing, especially in our country, because we've refused to learn. It has always been like that, that immediately you want to protest, what happens is either the people who are protesting will throw some stones at the police officers who are giving protection, and the police also will come and arrest you if you're doing protesting, and kind of like use force on you. So it is something that I don't know, as a country, when we are going to learn and know that what we are doing it for our country. Because I believe even those who are in the law enforcement, they have family. They are our brothers, they are our sisters, they are facing the same challenges that we are also facing, you know. So I think, like, you should reach a point whereby when the police ask now to arrest you, especially during the protest, the arrest should be justified. Because what can happen is that when it reaches a point whereby the police officer feels that his life is at threat now, then you can deploy. Because they are also human beings. We cannot say that they are not. They are human beings, and they're just trying to do a job. But sometimes you find that they reach a point whereby they are in a situation whereby they cannot they feel like their life is at risk, and they should justify that. And our police also, I think they've gone through training. They know on how to deal with the mob, you know. So, and there are so many avenues that you can use within your perimeters of operation, that you can use to to disperse, especially the people who are protesting, before um, using the live bullets. You know, for you to use a live bullet, it means that you, as even as a police officer, this was something that even you was threatening your life. So I think we still have a very, 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 very long way to go. And seeing 355 people were arrested, and thank you for reminding me that. And also, Mr. Speaker, sir, the well-known Mr. Speaker, sir, the Gen Z who was in the parliament and talked about Mr. Speaker, sir, he also was arrested today, and I'm told his lawyers
Not
are.
not not forgetting, there's also, you remember this famous this guy who had disability in Nakuru.
Yeah, I also saw that video of Nakuru, and that is what I was talking about. Marco Bura, take a situation of what we saw from the Nakuru County. This is a guy with a disability in his wheel, in his stretchers. At what point is he a threat to the police officer? If you saw on how those police officers handle him, this is somebody with a disability. Even how can you, especially as a police officer, handle this person? You know, the way they came and they roughed him up, and I saw the guy that he was with was running away. So that's why I was telling you, Makobura, that when it comes to protest, especially between the people and the police, we still need to learn a lot from each one of us, especially. And what surprised me was, like, and I'm sometimes I usually say that I don't know when we will learn again. When you saw what happens, the people who are on the government side, that everything that now the government is doing is right. I listen even to the governor for Homa Bay, especially talking about protest. and the way she spoke. And I say, like, why do we forget so soon? Why do we forget so soon? You know, you know, the protest. Yeah, this is something that will be here forever. Even after President William Ruto will leave power, somebody will come into the office, and people will not be happy with the kind of leadership that is offering. That is all. That is something that is always there. You cannot get a leader who will always be um, loved 100%. There must be few who are not happy with the kind of leadership that you are offering. And what will they do? They will protest and give them a chance, Makubura. So that is something that I also saw something that Makubura, maybe you can also give your view on, because like as people were protesting, the president also was having a development inspection, especially in Bomas of Kenya, and he talked about so many things. President said that construction. President talked about the development of markets. President talked about stadiums. President talked about road, and even President promised that the Talanta Ella, and is going to build another 28 more Talanta Ellas. Stadiums, not Talanta Elas. I'm sorry about that. More stadiums during the development inspection that he was having in and this was a moment. This was a
Yeah.
moment. This was a moment that I felt, if I was somebody in the president, especially advisory team, I could not come up with the counter the protest. You look back, and even the people of ODM, you have to ask yourself, at the people of ODM, why did we get into this negotiation? Why did we have to donate our experts? Why again are we now saying that we are working with the president? There must be something. And majority of the times they say that we are going to work and change it from within. Have you really changed that one from within? And history
Yeah.
also will judge them, Makobura.
Yeah. I saw the same, and actually, I wanted that was the next that I also wanted to give our views on, because while the process, I mean, the protests were unfolding everywhere in almost the entire country, we saw the president attending a national event at Bomas of Kenya.
Yeah.
Government officials used the event to project normalcy
Mm.
because I think he was trying to send a message that as we are working, things are normal.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is things were not normal. Online, Kenyans questioned, and they were questioning the timing and the symbolism of that particular move
Mm.
by the president. Of course, this created a split screen moment where you could see Bomas, the speech from the president in suits, official ceremony happening, and then you're like in CBD, tear gas and arrest and tension everywhere. This
Mm.
contrast, of course, I saw it fueling hashtags like Vomas versus Streets. If you were on the social media platforms, and then I saw the hashtag Bomas versus
Mm.
the Streets. Well,
Mm.
it was trending, and also there was the hashtag Gen Z remembers. So maybe in your own opinion, what do you think the president should have addressed? I mean, do you think the president should have addressed the protest directly? Was the Bombers event a sign of leadership or disconnect? How did you interpret the contrast between what the screens we were seeing in the television, the president at Bomas, and then the tension and everything on the street?
One, president is a politician, and in politics, everything that you do is calculated, and it has to achieve a particular issue. The president could not just come out, especially during the time when everybody was protesting of the lost lives that the Gen Z had. The president was saying that we don't care of what is happening. We've already agreed and set up a panel of the compensation. The compensation is coming, and we don't care. As you protest with us, we are working, because president talked about the development. He talked about what he has done, and he said that, okay, let's come and work together. And remember, president is a president of everyone. You are the father of the nation. Those who are grieving and those who are not grieving, all of them are your children. But if I was in his shoes, especially, I could have taken this moment, especially, to bridge, to be that person that we learn, because the incident that happened on June 26th, it has never happened in our country, and it also happened during the first time that is becoming the president. It is coming, and we say that, what can we learn from this? We accept that there were several mistakes that happened, because you cannot say that president is going to be that perfect person. Two, you cannot say that even Kenyans who are protesting, they're very perfect. No, but everybody has their own weaknesses together. So this could be that point where we learn from our weaknesses and we build on it, and say that as a country, we do not wish, or we do not want issue to do with this, to do with what happened, especially protests and people losing their lives. Now, what message, especially if you say that, okay, and what message am I sending? Remember, when you came with Raila Odinga, the 10-point agenda, one of the main reasons that you said that you wanted to bring countries together. That's what brought you together. And when bringing countries together is, you don't only bring people who are friendly to you, you even bring those who do not agree with you, so that you can have a common goal between you and them, and say that this is our country and we have to move despite the political ideology, but this is what we have. Where are we meeting? What are the don'ts and the do's that we should work on here? So, that could have been. Remember, what message especially will the mother of Kennedy Onyango, especially, she was very emotional when they went to parliament, where the parliament was barricaded by the barbed wire. And she said one thing, that, okay, to me, I just want justice, you know, justice. And who can be to give a just justice is the president, because president is the head of the state. And you can work that way, said, okay, this is what we are going to do, but it will be so painful, or it was so painful to the parents, especially when they see that the president is launching a project, yet they are grieving, you know. So I think, like, the president could have reached a point whereby he said that, okay, let's come and have a conversation over it. But, and I told you early, Makobura, it's one of the things that will keep on popping, especially in the presidency of President William Ruto, is the June 2026. It is something that will not be wiped away very easily. And with all the politics and all the politicians are doing and all that, this is something that is not going to be wiped out easily. It has been written in the history book of Kenya. If at all the history of book of Kenya was having 11 chapter, the Gen Z are adding the 12th chapter, you know. So the 12th chapter, people will always read that 12th chapter in the books of the history. And when that history will be read, or when people will be reading that history, there are quite a number of things that will be read. One, it will say that during the time when President William Ruto was the president, a total number of Gen Z of totaling to this amount lost their life. A total number of this got abducted. During that time, there was a issue of conclave that Raila Odinga was talking about that did not took place, did not even uh, you know, see the light of the day. There was donation of experts, especially from ODM. And there are those also who will conclude that by the June 25th, 2024, there are those who benefited. And they will quote, if I'm not wrong, they will say that Honorable Mbadi, Honorable Pio Wandai, Honorable Wycliffe Ambetsa Paranya, Honorable Joho, they got those positions, the courtesy of the Gen Z who lost their lives. That is what the history will tell. Because, like, if this maandamano could have not happened, I do not think that they could have gotten those positions. Yeah. So those are
Because
history.
yeah, that's the reality. If it were not the people who went on the street in June 2024,
Mm-hmm.
John Badi would not be the cabinet secretary in charge of finance.
Mm.
Joe would not be the cabinet secretary. Kabogo will not be the cabinet secretary. Lee Kinyanjui will not be a cabinet secretary. Um, this one for, I mean, the one for energy, Opio and I will not
Mm.
be a cabinet secretary. Those are realities. Those are realities. What then are they supposed to do? They're supposed to understand and to acknowledge and to appreciate and
Mm.
to be keen on solving the issues that are being raised by the people of Kenya. There
Mm.
is no any other way, because if it were not these young people coming on the street to remind the government of their responsibility, quite a number of things would not have been noted by this government.
Yeah.
And something else that we also have to accept
Mm.
and appreciate
Yeah.
the young people is the fact that at least the notorious bad behavior within the government was slightly reduced,
Mm.
because they have this. At least it brought some sense within the leadership, and
Mm.
it reminded them that should they do things publicly without the
Mm.
respect of the people,
Mm.
then the young people might come for them. So it slightly brought, or it's partly solved the issue. I mean, brought some normalcy within the government, because what we were seeing was a lot of extravagance lifestyle and bad behavior within the government leadership,
Mm.
something that was not so nice. I can't say, and I wouldn't say that things are currently good,
Mm.
but at least that particular demonstration brought some sense in in some leaders.
Oh, okay, and I'm just looking at the history. How sometimes the history will judge some of us very very harshly, especially when you are looking at how the compensation. I'm not saying that compensation is bad, Makubura. I don't know. I've always told you this, especially when it comes to doing a documentary. There was a time we wanted to do a documentary of some of the victims, thinking Kisumu about the post-election, how are they faring on after losing their loved one. But I tell you, it was so emotional that the director that we had, I told him, okay, no, it is not even worth it, because the very moment you start to talk, somebody just shed tears that they cannot control themselves. And I said, like, okay, you need, you know, uh, tell me, especially, how will you convince a parent, maybe as you want to compensate, to say that, okay, we are compensating you 3 million for the life that is lost. For example, we've talked about Kennedy Onyango. You saw the mother was very emotional at the parliament, where the Babdoa was barricaded. How do you want to say that, okay, I'm giving you 3 million, yet he knows that there's somebody who is responsible for the death of the son, you know? Because the son was very innocent. 8 bullets were too much, if that one is so. How do you convince? Remember the young guy from Nairobi University. It was Kenyatta University. Um, you know that were who was found floating on the river somewhere. What do you say, especially to everyone, Rek Masai's parents, especially when their son uh, died? How are you going to convince them? And
Yeah, and just still on the same, I was just seeing a photo here that James Orengo had posted
Mhm,
while they were with Eugene Wamalo
mhm.
and the mother of Mama Rex and the other victim. And it reminds me of when I saw them walking towards the parliament. How are they a threat? Just a few people walking to go put some flowers at where they thought is right. Why
Yeah.
would they be mistreated?
Mhm.
Why would they be seen
Mhm.
as threat?
Mhm.
Those are old people
Yeah.
who are grieving. Why would why would you stop? Why would you mishandle them?
Mm.
Those are some of the questions that came into my mind, because I have always believed that by the fact that we are human beings, I think that supersedes every other thing. The humanity in us should always, and according to what I've known and as a human being,
Mhm.
that as it, it really pains. It pains how you when you see people being mistreated. It pains when you see it pains when you see people being mistreated. It pains when you see even people with disability. The one you are talking about, the Nakuru guy. Did you see how this guy was being, dragged on the
Mm.
on the floor of that? I mean, on the road. Was it on the road, on the streets? He's being dragged. One of his leg is it is being thrown as if you know. And then I think we have a problem. We have a problem,
I, I,
and the problem comes from the leadership, because with the authorization from the leadership, a police officer would do everything.
you,
But
you,
if we had a leadership that fully understands
mm,
that the citizens are the most important people that have given them a chance,
mm.
probably the laws or the instructions that they would be giving are instructions that would then ensure that the dignity of humanity is upholded.
Makobura, one thing that I'm convinced, even if to say that it's what we have is something that is not even with the administration of President William Ruto. This is how we breeded our country, especially when it comes to deal with the protest. Even when you visit back during the time of President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, there were some incidences, especially on matters to do with the protest. Even not long ago, remember when we have Sufuria Revolution movement, especially you saw what happened, especially to the convoy of the late Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga. You know, this reminds us, and that's why sometimes I usually ask people, especially the voters, to be the good student of history, especially on a matter like this. When you politicize this and you become part of the politics and say that, okay, this is what is happening, it is you today, yeah, it is you, then tomorrow it will be today you're celebrating because it's on another person's, you know but um tomorrow it will be on you. I think sometimes you could take a moment and as we do our politics, have a conversation with some of these people, some of these parents who have lost their loved one, who are calling for justice, and sit with them, and know the void. Because look, if you look at what happened in 2025, that day, from that day, the people who lost their loved one, these families, during that, when they lost their loved one, I believe there was no mortuary that they did not knock on, and just to go inside and at least to try to find their loved ones. Yeah, that courage. How many people can just is not your relative and you're told, okay, today we are going to the morgue, especially we're talking about forget about Montezuma, forget about the Lee Funeral Home. That's where people are kept. Those are funeral home. But when you come to our morgues, especially City Hall, talk about City Hall, you go there. Sometimes you go, you find like dead bodies have been just thrown there when they're still looking for the identification.
That reminds me, whatever you're speaking about, until you have
Yeah.
a chance to maybe visit.
Mhm.
Remember, there's a time I'm quite sure that you knew we had a relative who went missing, and then now we moved throughout the hospitals,
Mhm.
and I can tell you that we moved through almost all the morgues within Nairobi, and I can admit here what I saw.
Yeah.
in those mocks, human beings, and how they are treated. And it is a painful thing that if you had the opportunity to get into those particular mocks,
Mhm.
you never get out of your mind. And it is
So,
a painful, it is a tough thing, I can't say.
uh,
If those families had to go through that,
not they
and
had
remember,
to. Makobura, they went.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. If I mean they had to go through all that, and then still finding justice is a problem.
Mm.
How things are being handled is a problem. And
Yes.
then I can say that we have a very insensitive government. We
Mm.
have a government that do not care about the lives of its citizens. And
Mm.
the most painful bit is that we have a leadership that carried the Bible. If they are Christian, some of them carried the Quran. If there is, I mean, Muslims, and they swore before God and before the people,
Mm.
saying that they will respect and uphold the dignity and, of course, the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya. That Constitution is very specific. It talks about the human rights. It talks about the issues of movement. It talks about the demonstration. It goes ahead and even does a clarification on how police officers are supposed to handle
Mm.
the demonstrators. And what pains me is the fact that all that they saw before the people and before God is not being upheld. And the most painful thing again is that they are the ones who are always on the every Sunday going to church,
Mm.
issuing money that they have stolen from the people, promising and even lying to the people. And then that brings the question of, do we really have leaders? If these people are lying even to the people and lying even to God, what positive things are you expecting from them? That is the mistake that we made as a people, as a citizen, and it is something that can be rectified. And so we
Makobura,
have to be keen.
Makobura, the fabric, the society that we are breeding is a society that thrives on immoral. Uh, uh, when humanity left us, there's what we call value. You know, the what we call value. If you're very keen enough, you will agree with me that the rate at which the young people, especially if you remember yesterday, before today, there were a group of young people, especially even in CBD in Nairobi, that were uh, they were kind of like having protest because the protest does not mean that it has to be violence, no. You remember the ones that were going in Kisumu just to say that we do not want the protest to happen. There was nothing wrong with that, you know. But today, the people who have really failed us, I cannot generally talk about the President William Ruto, but I will talk about the entire leadership that we have. Members of Parliament, especially, they failed. They have failed to do their due diligence. Remember, some of these um, some of these issues that people are raising. You know, you can forgo your political affiliation, because even if today you would want to talk about justice, that one does not take away your allegiance to President William Ruto, and that one also does not take away your allegiance to ODM, does not take away your allegiance to Rigathi Gachagua or Eugene Wamalwa, and all, depending on your political affiliation. When we're looking for justice, especially for our country, that one does not deny you. That is secondly, when we're looking for um, justice, especially for people, that one does not take away your tribe from you. It doesn't. That one does not take away your tribe from you. There's nothing that when you're talking about justice and building a democracy that works, it doesn't take away your tribe. It gives you an opportunity to keep your tribe and talk about how good governance can be. But if you go to our social media or our social platform, on what do we say? it tells you that we are still very far. We are not going to reach yet. And this is from both, especially those who are supporting the government or those who are in government and those who are criticizing the government. None of them are criticizing positively, and none of them is uh, um, you know, uh, the opposition would try to drive the narrative that they feel will fit them, because it's a competition here. We are competing about, who is best, to win. We want to win on first insult. I don't know whether you had an opportunity to I don't know whether you've had an opportunity, especially to watch some of the interviews that are being or discussions that are being held with young people, especially from different political affiliation. Yeah, it is not about the country. It is about their bosses. The allegiance first is say that, okay, I'm not doing this for the country. You talk to somebody, a young youth who is allied to party leader Oburu Odinga. They will not talk about any good substances about this country, but they will talk about, first of all, they will mention the name of their boss. That is when they talk about the issues that are affecting our country. The issues that are affecting the country are universal, whether you support what you support, the insult that those people usually have on those platforms, especially when they discuss, oh man, I tell you, so that, and this is a generation that tells us that we are going to get leadership. Yeah. And they are all facing the same challenges. We are facing the challenges of leadership because the leaders that you support, those leaders that you support are the people who have messed up this country. And those are the allegiance that you are playing. Just provided maybe at the end of the day you will be given 1,000 and go home and think that you've worked. Yeah, some of us who do not get money from them, we saying that we struggle and say that we want accommodative environment. But like if you see, and the people who are going to those platforms, some of them are learned. People have gone to school that have degrees. The elite of the society, that the society, they went to school with one hope that we want to transform and change our society through education. So you find that some of the education, some of the learning process that we've gone through is not even helping us. If you just sit down and listen on how they are reasoning, it tells you that then why did we have to go to school then? If this is what the society has produced to us when we're talking about our leadership, Makopura.
Okay, thank you so much, and that is very true, very true. We are living in a world that sometimes it becomes tough to understand, and remember, it is the humans who are making it tough
Mm-hmm.
for other humans to get to understand what is going on.
Mm-hmm.
So it is what it is. I'll get to the next thing is about the witness. I mean, areas that did not witness the demonstration. Not all Kenyans were protesting. Some towns remained calm.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe probably fear of police. Maybe probably lack of mobilization. Maybe probably political alignment. Maybe probably economic priorities. Maybe probably rural or urban differences, or
Mm.
maybe some were bribed or such things happened. In Nyeri, there was normalcy in businesses.
Yeah,
Nakuru, sorry?
there were areas that especially experience peace, especially during this protest.
Yeah,
And
yeah, and specifically, of course,
Mhm.
we saw quite a number within Nakuru. There were presence. Nyeri, there were slightly normalcy, but of course, there were presence of police.
Mhm.
Kericho, there was some quietness. Meru, there was no demonstration. Eldoret,
No, Meru, there was quite a few in the morning, but it the normalcy returned.
Yeah, so we also saw Kisumu, and I was actually seeing Governor Wanga saying that Kisumu ni kura tu. And that then brings me to this. Me, one thing that I don't understand well, I personally also come from Kisumu County, and
Mhm.
I understand those people. It is good, it is nice. What is happening is not the reality of what is happening on the ground. Truth be told,
Okay,
the
tell us.
government might have the upper hand of trying to to influence or to control certain things,
Mhm.
but at the last minute the reality on the ground would be so different. Because why would you use or give money to women and then they get to the street and then they start saying, here we don't want demonstration? Where on earth have you ever seen the people of Kisumu coming out of the just normal senses to do such a thing? It
Uh,
is not true, but I understand we are in an environment where things are tough,
mm,
and even 1,000 or even 50 shillings
mm,
would make a normal human being to change their thinking and even their operation and what they do. That is the state where we are. So, as we are seeing all these things, let
mm,
us also know that there's a lot of things that are happening on the ground. And it has been, I was actually trying to follow up what had really happened. And
mhm,
it is coming out. They were paid. The people who went on the street to speak against the demonstration, they were
mm,
paid. And the people who are paying them are the local politicians, most of the ones that are closer or in the broad-based government. And actually, they're the ones who are even organizing and even telling them, doing the printing of what they're supposed to carry and
mm.
the language they're supposed to use. And then they come out, these specific politicians, and then now they want to pretend that they're speaking on behalf of Nyanza or Kisumu, telling
Mm.
them that, hey, it is only this, as if there everybody is living a luxurious life, a life that it is so unfortunate.
Marco Bura, that's why I'm saying I'm telling you that I'm not itachukua muda sana. Kuna wacha niseme kwa lugha ya kwa Kiswahili kidogo. Kuna kama we ni mtu ambaye amependa kusikiza zile wimbo za zamani, kuna mtu anaitwa nani? Ni Majla Maajabu kama sijakosea, alikuwa naimba, naomba tuachane mimi na wewe, tumeshavumilia ya kutosha. So kuna mahali akasema kwamba siku za ukilipwa mshahara itajulikana, mwisho wa mwezi itajulikana, ukifungwa jela itajulikana. Inamaanisha kuwa hakuna kitu ambacho inafanyika chini ya ardhi na mbingu ambapo itaenda bila kujulikana. Utaificha, lakini kuna siku moja itafichuliwa. Inanikumbusha wakati tulikuwa katika uh, shule zetu, tuseme hata katika vijiji zetu kule nyumbani. Ukipata msichana mdogo yule ambayo labda kwa bahati mbaya katika harakati zake kwamba amepata mimba, amekutiwa mimba na kijana fulani na hataki watu walimwengu wajue, ataificha. Siku ya kwanza itakuwa tu sawa. Siku ya pili kama tuseme kwamba tumbo inaanza kuchomoka, ataanza kuvaa sweta hata kama kuna joto kiasi gani, kwa sababu hataki watu waone. Lakini kuna siku itafichika, hiyo mambo itafichuliwa. Vile vile na jambo ambalo umesema, all that if indeed especially the people of Kisumu or everybody who came out the day before this, that they were doing it for the love of the country, then that is okay. It will be well known that you are doing it for the love of the country. But if you are doing it because you are facilitated, especially to make a politician happy, then it will also be no. But remember what you do. That's the work of politician. Your time will come. And if your time will come, you will knock these doors of these politicians, especially when you're looking for the justice. But the world will not be kind enough for you. Yeah, the world will not be kind enough for you. We are not saying that or we are just trying to educate you as a voter. Put yourself in those who have lost their children. Put yourself there. And these are people who they just want to see. They were just commemorating, you know. And we mwenyewe ukishapatiwa pesa unasherekea, unasema kwamba sisi wenyewe hatutaki. Unaona? Na ukigundua asilimia kubwa ya wale watu ambao walipoteza maisha yao ni watu ambao wanatoka katika mafamilia hohehae. Hawa wanasiasa ambao unawaona hapa, hakuna mtoto wake mmoja hata mmoja ambaye alikuwepo kwa barabara ya pili. Hawa wanasiasa ambao unawaona wakiugua, ndege tu inawachukua. Hakuna siku mwanasiasa ama mtoto wake ambao akiugua utapata kwamba atapata shida na matibabu. Kama matibabu hawezi pata, mara ngapi tumeona hawa watu kwamba wanapanda ndege wanaenda nje kutafuta matibabu, na we mwenyewe uko hapa bado unang'ang'ana hapa, unasema kwamba ukienda kwa hizo madawa duka utapata kwamba hakuna dawa, utapata kwamba faili yako imepotea. Faili inapotea aje kwa hospitali? Utaambiwa bwana, ongeza mganga mkuu baada hajaingia. Hiyo maisha yako hiyo. Mbona tujifundishe kwa majira na nyakati, kwamba tujue kwamba changamoto ambapo sisi tunapitia ni changamoto ambazo sisi wote tunapitia. Hakuna siku yule ambaye anasema kwamba yeye anaegemea upande wa serikali kwamba maisha yake iko nywe. Hapana. Kama yule ambaye ategemea upande wa upinzani, pia zile changamoto ambazo mnapitia katika ile eneo ni sawa, baila tu kuna wale ambao wamepata nafasi kukula na malkia labda, alafu wewe unatupiwa zile chembe chembe, unaona zile mabakshishi basi. Lakini yale yote ambayo sisi tunapitia ni sawa. Tukienda katika hospitali ambayo liko katika eneo letu, kama hakuna madawa kwa yule ambaye anamsifu serikali, hakuna madawa kwa yule ambaye anamsifu upinzani. Na jawabu si kwamba kuambia kuweka upinzani kwa uongozi litafanya jambo kama hilo. Ni kubadilisha mfumo. Unabadilisha mfumo ambao inatumika ndio tunabadilisha. So itabidi watu wajifunze. Tusikue tu watu ambao unajua Makobura, pole. Yaani Kenya sisi ni watu ambao wanasahau haraka sana. Sijui kamnyama hiki kinaitwa nini? Sijui kamnyama ambao unaweza ipiga dakika kidogo hiki kimesahau. Sijui inaitwa aje kwa Kiswahili. Labda mtu ambaye anajua. Is it warthog in Kiswahili, in English? Wakati inafika mpaka unapiga jirani wako kwa sababu tu ya siasa. Makobura, si mzuri. Hebu tuongelee leo tu kuona Sifuna katika maandamano. Labda maoni yako ni gani kabla tujafunga?
Yeah, I today only saw James Orengo, Kalonzo, Eugene, Karua, and yeah, the top opposition leaders. We didn't even see Gachagua as well. And there were plans from the government, as Gachagua had placed, that they were waiting for the planners or the people or the leaders who would come out to lead. So I'm not so sure whether they had some intel about the security that made them not to come out. But what we had witnessed before, the likes of Babu Wino, the likes of Sifuna, were among the people who would come out for the demonstration, and they would be there with the people, partly speaking about issues that are, there to be spoken about. So I can say that by the fact that they were not in, personally, I wouldn't get to really know what or why, but I can say that these are times that people really, really wants the support
mm,
of leaders.
mm,
There's what we call the national mood, and
mm,
of course, the political implication. And I can say that currently Kenya is in a tense political moment,
mm,
and the things to do with rising cost of living, youth unemployment, distrust in government, anger over taxation, fear
mm,
of police brutality, and you know, and with this particular movement, I mean demonstration that was here, which was like a symbol of resistance, a day
yeah,
of national reflection, if I can call it so, and also a political pressure point that is being used by the people to simply remind, because it brings back some senses on the leaders,
yeah,
uh, that they have a responsibility. But again, we saw the police response and the security
mm,
crackdown that was there everywhere. So probably there was a heavy-handed, what we saw is we've always seen a heavy-handed policing. We've always seen Kenya has always had a long history of criminals
mm,
protest. The
mm,
other day there was the issue of goons that people are speaking about, and remember these goons can be paid to do anything, and that
mm,
reminds me of part of the insecurity that we are having in the country.
yeah,
Even these leaders, some of them know that it is not safe for them.
mm,
Remember the death of a member of parliament from Kasipul.
yeah,
He was killed by people who could be said are goons.
yeah,
People who would be moving on a motorbike are simply goons.
mm,
Probably you may not know their intention,
yeah,
and they're also aware of such things may be happening to them, and probably that might make them not to come out. We've always seen you undercover officers. Like today, we saw quite a number
mm,
arresting people and putting them in Subarus,
mm,
deployed GSU, you know, amongst the crowds to control. So, what, for example, happened today in CBD, uh, turning into a security zone where police officers were everywhere, undercovers officers were filmed by protesters,
mm,
doing the arrest. We saw tear gas being used in multiple towns.
mm,
We did see things to do with amnesty coming down to condemn such kind of things. All
mm,
this can make any genuine leader or genuine person who really wants to be part, not
mm,
to get or not to bring themselves into this particular
mm,
uh, movements or
mhm,
demonstration. But again, there was a lot of fear
yeah,
amongst the people.
mm,
There was, of course, having the memory of what had happened. Remember what happened in June, that 2024.
mm,
Remember the commemoration that was done last year.
yes,
All those kind of things would make you to reflect first before you leave,
yeah,
because uh, protesters were left, families lost children,
mm,
survivors are still carrying the traumas, like I'd said before. Many cases remain unresolved. And because of the long time that justice has not been served, all those cases seems from the trend that we are seeing, they're
mhm,
probably being dropped.
mm,
And they're being dropped in circumstances that are not clear because all the evidence and everything. Whenever it is always said that whenever justice is delayed,
mm,
then that justice is something that you cannot count on.
yeah,
For example, the issue of Rex would have been dealt with immediately
mm,
when the minds of the people, everything was fresh in the minds of the people, and the evidence was still as clear as it was. It
mhm,
were.
mhm,
It would have probably saved the family. The
yeah,
family would or might have said that there was justice that they've seen.
mhm,
The civil society, of course, has continued demanding for justice, but understand a government or an executive that is controlling everything.
mm,
So today, families of victims, they were trying to simply lay flowers at the parliament. You block them, you tear gas them. That reminds them, are they also going to die? That reminds them or brings back the trauma that they underwent.
mhm,
They held moments of silence. That is all they wanted to do.
yeah,
Laying flowers,
yeah,
holding moments of silence.
Mm-hmm.
carrying photos of their loved one as a way of simply remembering the fact that there's nothing negative or
Mm-hmm.
criminal that they did. They simply died in a way that, would have been avoided by the people who made them to die.
Okay, Makobura, I know we are just about to close. To me, I would come from this point of reasoning, especially to the voters of Kenya. Sometimes I listen to people from the lake. They say that we've suffered. You know, now it is their time to suffer. I've heard such like statement, and when somebody says that, especially when you as a person talked about now, we are not ready to shed the blood again on the street. It tells you that if it is indeed what you are saying or assumption that you are raising is because you are not in government, then that's why like you cannot do that. Remember, it will take even 50 years if you are in the government. But what about if it changes? What will happen? The other people will also say that now we've suffered. It is your time to,
You know,
yeah.
if you've ever read of the principles of leadership,
Mhm.
a leader is somebody, what is leadership? A leader is somebody who leads.
Yeah. So,
Why do you find that you'd be
so
given an opportunity to lead?
then,
You are given an opportunity to
mm,
lead. Allow me to just say this.
yeah,
You are given an opportunity to lead because the people have beliefs that you can show them the way.
yeah.
While showing them the way, that then is, the leadership skills. For
Mhm.
example, if you are applying for whichever position, back in your mind, you know that you have the knowledge and the prowess to do that particular job. And if you are getting there, remember, this is like a company. It is a company that already has been on move, a
Yeah.
company that has already been operating.
Mm.
Well, if you get there, you will find employees. You will find them doing a specific thing. And
Yeah.
that specific thing that they're doing, you have to have the knowledge about it.
Yes.
You have to have the knowledge on how you're going to improve it. And
Mm.
as you are getting there, even if you find that there are problems, it
Mm.
is you to fix as the leader.
Yes.
You're not supposed to be there, and then now you start complaining.
Mm.
You had been given that opportunity. You came with papers. You came before the people. People woke up very early in the morning in the entire country. More than 50 billion, a country that has more than 50 billion. You think it is a normal thing for them to simply wake up or to speak or to talk about your name, saying that we are going to give you an opportunity. And then once they've given you the opportunity, you start crying more than they are crying, telling them on how things are not working, how you're finding it tough. And
Yeah.
yet you brought yourself, you said that you have. While you are coming, you knew the problems, you knew the challenges. Mark you, William Samoei Ruto was the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. He knew if there are problems, he's part of that problem. He knew how they created the problems that are affecting the people. He knew, and he should be able to revert the problems that they created. If he cannot revert the problems that they created so that the people of Kenya can enjoy their life,
Mhm.
then you should not come to people, start telling them on how a government or people have mismanaged things. He is part of those problems, and we have to be very categorical and truthful on that.
Okay, before we wind up, this is what Governor Wanga said. Activists participating in the protest are merely staging a show to impress donors instead of pursuing a genuine solution. Hmm. And some of this we will keep them in archives. You know, we will keep them in archives, and we will remind them as leaders during this time. This is what you said, but you've spoken of something that is quite much interesting. You've spoken about leadership, and there's maybe I want you to, maybe you can clarify for me before we close. When we talk about Jesus, you believe Jesus is a leader, because a leader is anybody who has a followers, according to your explanation, right? When we
Not just followers.
Mhm.
Not just followers. You can be a leader.
You speak on behalf
You
of the
can,
people.
yes,
So
and you've been given the authority based on
authority.
the circumstances of what is happening around you.
All right, thank you so much. I know you've read the Hitler. Yeah, Hitler was a leader, and there's some of the things that Hitler did, but he still had the opportunity to lead, and he was given an opportunity around him. Um, we are talking about President William Ruto. He's a leader and is given an opportunity to lead. We are talking about Raila was a leader because he had like massive people were following. All these politicians, they are people who are. But what qualifies a good leadership? Because all of them are leaders. What would you qualify, or what would you say that this is a leadership that I want? Because all of them have been given the mandate by their followers and they speak on their behalf. They subscribe to his ideology and everything that he does. Even as we have people that we subscribe to their ideology, and I feel that this person is my leader. If he can speak on my behalf because he speaks my mind, then what qualifies that we say that this is a good leader?
What makes a person a good leader is a person who is, number one,
Mm-hmm.
like I'd said, you've been given the authorization by the people. Well, you are the leader.
Mm-hmm.
But remember, you're the leader of people.
Mm-hmm.
So those people, you have to understand them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as a leader, you give proposal. I am a leader. I feel that we should go this way. But whatever proposal you are giving, it
Mm-hmm.
has to conform. It has to be given support by the people. The
Mm-hmm.
people have to give their insight
Mm-hmm.
based on what they're also feeling on the ground. So in this instance, for example, I am the leader and I say that I want us to go to the right direction.
Yes.
And probably the people are saying, no, I want us, no, you can take us to the, the left direction.
Yeah.
It is normal. It is right for people to have divergent opinion. When
Mm-hmm.
you hear people are having that divergent opinion,
Mm-hmm.
you might have interacted with them, but you've
Mm-hmm.
not done a lot of interaction so that you get to understand the
Mm-hmm.
reason why they want you to go the left direction. The best thing as a leader is you need to retract before you finalize the move that you are following, and
Mm-hmm.
simply say that, well, you're saying we go left. I was thinking we go right. What are your reasons? What do you think? What are the repercussions? That is what leadership is all about. You
Mm-hmm.
have to consult, you have to understand, you have to get the challenges and the visions and the priorities of the people. That is what you use to make the finalities in your decisions.
Mm-hmm.
That is what leadership is all about.
All right, Makrobura, thank you so much, and I know it has been a good time. I don't know what tomorrow, if you find time, we can come here and have a discussion. And this would be my take, Mr. Makrobura. To me, I'm looking at it in a point of like the voters, especially who are the majority, are the players, especially that are being engaged by leaders, especially when it comes to an issue sensitive like where people are commemorating, especially when people are doing anniversary of the loved one that they lost. That I thought like we would have humanity enough, especially as a country, and this one becomes a reference point whereby both leaders and his citizens and the country with its citizens, we can have a conversation and say that we do not want to see this one happening again. But today we missed the point. The leadership missed the point, and everyone missed the point. And I tend to believe I'm seeing the leaders are congratulating so many people of not coming out. There could be a reason why, and tomorrow we will discuss about that. Why do you think that the reason why so many people did not come out to protest, especially people decided to go um, be peaceful, especially in some areas? There could be a reason. It was not like they healed to government call. That could be a reason, or maybe they talked to the government and the government listened to them. But I think inside it, there is also some people who just said, okay, we cannot do it. Let's just keep calm. There's that fire burning. And when will it come? So with those few remarks, Makobura, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. And allow me to just once again acknowledge and to say a big thank you to Judy Odhiambo, Gordon Olo, George Owor, Ramogi Oyuga Ayaga, Richard Okumu, Donald Kimaya, Eric Osewe. There were some two more down there. At the comment section, our good friend Goodyear, thank you so much. We really appreciate your presence and your support. There was Judith. Thank you so much for finding time to join us. We really appreciate. As usual, this is Brother Benson Media, and we are also live on our sister channel, Kikao na Sauti. With me was Brother Benson, who was also giving us his views based on the discussion that we were having today. Until tomorrow, allow me to take this opportunity to wish you all a blessed night, a blessed morning, a blessed afternoon, a blessed evening, a blessed night from wherever you're watching us from. Thank you so much, and may God bless you. See you again tomorrow. Bye bye for today.